Accept your death.
So I was watching this video the other day because when I get the chance, I really do like to cook. I like to be creative and make dishes and whatnot. I don't know, it's a really cool use of my time, and obviously food is something that you need. And I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing, but I saw like a red relish, and I have never seen that before. Like obviously I've seen green, but is that just like a location thing? Like where I live, is that like red relish? Is that a thing where you are, Hater?
Not that I can think of. Not like when you think relish, you think, like pickles or something. Something
Yeah,
that used to be a cucumber. Is it made of something else, like peppers or?
I thought that I'm relish is not like my main knowledge topic kind of thing, but I mean I just assumed that relish was always pickles, and I've never seen red pickles. So, but relish could be like a way of making things, right? Like you can pickle all sorts of different things, I suppose. Maybe pickling is just the idea, right?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not too deep into the whole in the culinary thing when it comes to relish and stuff. I wish I could be of more help here, but I'm a simple man. I'm just dill relish and call it good. Just the shit you buy in a can in the store
Yeah,
or a jar.
I don't use relish really. I've seen my son use it sometimes on hot dogs, and that's pretty much about it. I don't really can't think of a dish that I've used it in cooking, really. Um, but anyway, if someone in the comments wants to let us know if you know about red relish, if that's a thing. But I also relish the comments that you leave every week, so let's get into those right now. That's got to be at least a 3.5 right there.
I don't know. I'm gonna think about it.
All right. You sit on that. So, starting with Neo Connor here, I'm disappointed in how Asha's stance switch feels. It feels kind of janky, and I know you were excited to play around with that when it released. Did you get a chance to kind of think about that? What or play around with it at all? How does it feel? Janky? I know you didn't stick with it too long. It seems.
No, I did. It was like the first thing I tried, and I played with it for like 30 seconds, and then just like moved on. There was too many other things I wanted to like look at. I just wanted to get an idea. You only see the one little sequence on the combat cast, so I just kind of wanted to play around with it a little bit. Like, if you ended a combo with the EX down back two, and did the transition, does the transition happen after the hits or before the hits? Am I stacking debuffs or not? Right? If that starts in the heaven stance.
Right.
And the answer to that question is it doesn't happen until after. So I was like, well, that kind of sucks. But I feel like you can just do it. And just in the mid, I don't think it feels like janky, right? Like when you're just converting it to like down forward three, it's just a matter of, I mean, it's a little awkward hitting the button. I play on leverless, and it's definitely one more button press, right? One more thing to think about, and I got to use my pinky for it and stuff. So
Right.
maybe he's talking about inputs or something, but I have seen a few Astra players talk about how much they like it, right? It's not like earth shattering or whatever, but it definitely is is like a welcome change.
I've seen Desda posting some cool stuff. Big
Yeah.
combos like mid 400s, and super swaggy too. I think just the idea of that transfer is super cool. So I don't know.
Yep.
Just wanted to get your opinion because I don't think I've ever touched Ashra. Maybe like once or twice in a character crisis kind of a thing, but that would be about it.
I like her. I don't really click with her, but I like her a lot, and I have a weird relationship with that character.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you go back to her every now and then. She's kind of your like I'm bored but still want to play the game kind of character, you know?
Yeah, a little bit. She's hard to play on the side. Like, you know how hard it is to keep like extra characters like crispy and stuff unless you play them like pretty regularly. At least that's how it is for me. And when I'm like not prioritizing her, when she's like a third or fourth string character, I lose so much so fast that it's just kind of like, ugh, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I struggle with bouncing around characters. Mind you, I had a fairly easy time yesterday when I was playing my Shujinko combinations, but even like my side characters like Sindel that I haven't played a while, like the first two games, I'm just kind of floundering until I can remember exactly how the character's supposed to flow.
Yeah.
The struggle with playing multiple characters. I don't know how y'all do it. You're next level people. Next comment here, Stone Cold Stutter says, "Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on."
Is that what it says? That's not what it says.
That's probably what it's in reference to, I think.
You
Just
think?
wanted to break out in song, you know, into the early 2000s classic by Smash Mouth.
Maybe this is a different language and now translates to Jude. So
Jude.
it's really Hey Jude.
Hey, oh,
And that's the song that he meant.
yeah, classic 1980s song by Sting and the Police. That's a good reference there, Hater.
What about Hey You?
Hey You. What?
Out there all alone,
I don't know that song. Was that Pink Floyd?
sitting naked by the phone.
Oh,
That
Bare
Pink
Naked
Floyd
Ladies.
song. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, bare naked ladies. The fucking timeless, right?
The timeless one. All right. Well, thanks, Stone Cold Stutter, for this comment and all the relevance to it. Last comment here. Redijun, who we read out last week, says they fucking buffed Smoke and Sub-Zero. After last week saying don't buff Smoke or Sub-Zero, they got the changes. Smoke.
They both got buffed.
Yeah, I haven't seen as many Sub-Zeros as I have Smokes, but even then I thought I would see like Smokes kind of popping up out of like every which way, you know. But I haven't seen too many. Like the Smoke mains seem to have kind of moved back to that character after like going and trying other things like Big Daddy G and that kind of thing. But I haven't seen too many. The few that I've seen are really annoying. The fact that he can now cancel out of that high that's plus on block that's really annoying to deal with. In the air. Yeah, that's super annoying to deal with.
It looks cool, like when he does it out of his back too. Like I'm officially intrigued. I might start dabbling with that a little bit on the side. Who would have thought that I would ever play Smoke? But I'm a little interested.
Oh man, friends off, man. I thought you had more self-respect for yourself.
Right.
I'm just kidding. Smoke, he after his new buffs and stuff, he does look like super swaggy and like really fun to play. Like it's
He still has all the same. He still has a lot of the same problems, right? Gaps everywhere, and things like that. He has to take a lot of risk, but I feel like that's kind of almost the appeal. People that they want to rush down, high risk, high reward, heavy mix, invisible mix. But he definitely has to work for it. He's got the extra tool now, and I think it's going to go to show with just like one little change how much of an impact that can make, even if it hasn't made it already. I think the dust is still settling for both those characters in particular.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that that's kind of what Smoke needs to kind of get back up to the be able to like compete, I guess. Because like as much as I struggle personally in the matchup, like I know how it works and I understand what the character wants to do and kind of how to battle against it. And I remember the meme at the start was like, oh, well, when he's invisible, just watch the camera because you can kind of tell by the movements. And like people used to meme on that. But honestly, you can kind of like almost see like the block stun and all that kind of stuff of the moves, even when he's invisible. So you get a feel for it. It's something you definitely have to get a feel for, and it's not something that I've kind of like sat down and actually grinded out the matchup. But like playing the character over the last year has kind of really helped me cement his moveset and what he wants to do and all that kind of stuff. So
I watched. Man, I wish I remembered their name. I watched this Smoke guide. Just the other night, and he was talking about when you go invisible, the best mix-up is nothing. You just sit there and block and just watch them, sweat or whiff or
right.
whatever, trying to like swat. It was like literally just do nothing.
The no mix-up, man, is a thing.
Yeah,
it's definitely a thing. Sub-Zero wise, I've seen a few more of Sub-Zeros, but I haven't seen anyone using like his new clone combo things really. They've just kind of been doing like the Sub-Zero chameleon thing that they've usually been doing. I don't know.
I saw a really good breakdown. It was posted in our Discord. Let me look it up real quick because we'll shout out this individual.
Yeah, because
I really broke down the changes, right? And kind of, I think that forward 1-2, forward 1-2 into clone, right? That would, combo in the corner and all of that sort of stuff. And
yep.
I'm not even sure that was intentional, but that was a nice little quality of life thing that Sub-Zero players got. That they've been begging for stuff, right? So they could just take it. But now, just the next patch, it's just taken away. And I think it wasn't even deliberate. It was just kind of like a consequence of what they did to like the spacing and the timing of the new clones.
Right.
So I'm not even, I don't know what goes on over there, and if they're what they're paying, attention to, and if they're even aware of that those two things were happening. But that's in
I
our
think they
combos and tech channel somewhere.
I think they pay pretty close attention to those types of things. Um, I'm happy for Sub-Zero players. I mean,
He can throw you into the new clone, so he gets the clone out, right? And you have to worry about. So it's kind of like a strike throw. I'm not sure what the actual hit advantage is, but once the long clone is out, if you get thrown into that, um, Sub-Zero, the last hit of his back throw is the hammer, right? And he knocks you right into the clone. He gives himself throw combos. He doesn't even need a cameo. Just needs the bar for the clone. So that's pretty cool.
That's really good.
And he can try to lock that down with the slide if they want to move, jump out of the throw or something like that. And if you're using Movado or Sonya or, whatever, Scorpion, like I think it's just opening up a lot of, and I'm not trying to say it's good or bad or it didn't help or it does help, but one thing it's done, I think, is definitely opened up some extra considerations for some other cameos.
Yeah, and I think that's good because that's one thing that kind of hurt the game in the last year is like so many characters like just being tied down to like a single cameo, right? And just like
Yeah.
the only way you can play this character is with this cameo. I think poor Lee Mei is still in that boat where like I don't see her with anybody other than Scorpion because it's just too good. Like she just hits like a truck. It's like one of the only ways to make her viable, And it's not like they haven't been trying. She's been buffed a couple times now, but she's just missing something. I don't know what it is, but
She just doesn't play the game very well.
yeah, I don't think that's something they can just patch in either. Like they could try something, but I feel like it would be too easy to like make her go from bottom to like top one. Like I think just like her design is not the greatest.
Think about your life as a Quan main before you got the armor portal and what that changed or added with just bringing that into the game. Despite his other changes, right? But they just add that one thing and how much that can change for you. She's just missing that one thing, and they've been experimenting, but maybe they're afraid to overtune her.
Yeah,
Or there's something we're all still missing.
I could totally see that. I mean, she's got decent mid now. I think she has a 12 frame mid, if I remember correctly.
I mean, what would be really cool would be like another way to be able to interact with a lamp or a different version of a lamp or something. She can already shoot it for like the little launch, but I believe in NRS and their creativity. If they could introduce a way to make the lamp a threat other than just it floating off and covering the airspace or shooting it, something else that she could do with it, maybe. I don't know what that would be, but that might be kind of fun. And that's like, she can do that shit neutral, then heavy emphasis, like way more on lamps. We know how much like Natara's love that, matchup.
Yeah. Put the lamp up and then watch Natara like try and saunter
That's
over
not so
to
bad.
you. Right?
I mean, it's another obstacle, right? And it can definitely shut down. If you're trying to like brute force your way in that matchup, you're going to be having a hard time. But it's like, it's like an obstacle course. Like when I fight against your Quan Chi or whatever, right? It's just,
Right. There's all these things on the screen to be watchful for.
Yeah, I'm on the jungle gym, and now I got to do 10 pull-ups, and now I'm like 1 foot at a time through all the little tires and stuff, right? Now I'm crawling on my belly. Like that's what it feels like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I'm thinking about like changing the lamp, I'm thinking about like maybe having like a second slower speed to it, like have like because sometimes it feels like it just goes, and I haven't played Lee Mei extensively. I've wanted to try
a fast one and a slow one.
Yeah, like a super slow moving lamp. I feel like that would give her like more time to like get more setups and stuff. Or like
lamps with an arc, like ones that she doesn't raise directly in the air. They like come up like from her knees or something. So they have a little bit of an arc, an upwards arc, like like exponential, like an exponential growth, equation sort of thing that floats up and forward.
Yeah, that would be like super sick. Like, or like one that kind of like angles down as it kind of is going, like you do like your back forward 4, push them away, and then you have this kind of angle, it's slowly angling down lantern that you could use to like cover a cameo or something like that. I feel like that would be super cool. That would make her really interesting, I think.
Maybe it would kind of change her. Do you think that would change her as an archetype, or what would you consider her anyway? She's kind of rush downy, right? She's stubby and she's plus and she hits like super hard. Um,
Yeah, I'm not really sure because she's like definitely like a punishment type of character, right? Like kind of waits for an opening and hits you for 50% and then just kind of waits again, you know? Like,
Gotcha. Like a bait and whiff character.
yeah, hit and run type of thing, you know? I don't know. That's
Dude, her pressure can be so good, but it's got like so many holes in it, right? As soon as people start losing that matchup, I don't know. I get mentally shut down. It depends on the player. Because sometimes, I feel like I don't have a problem with it at all. And other times, like Lee May's really locking me down despite all of their weird gaps. Just like really, she's got to work hard, right? Like we were talking about with Smoke.
yeah, it's true. She's got to work hard for her damage and her openings, but like when you get a good Lee May that's like really staggering well and like baiting your armor and stuff, like that's where it can get scary.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to be that sort of like player, like be like constantly mixing that up and noticing their patterns. Carl's really good with that. Like when he plays Lee May, right? Like, yep, you'll hold this twice, and that third time, I know you're gonna try to do something about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know what's in store. I mean, we've got at least 2 more big updates because we have T1000 and Conan coming out. So I imagine that there'll be some balance changes, but this patch, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, would have brought us to those big 3 patches that I was talking about with them at Evo.
Yeah.
So this is all the
Yep.
changes that they want for the game, and I think the game's in an awesome spot. I think Mortal Kombat 1, this is the best that it's looked. Still obviously missing some things, still some things that could be added. One thing we were talking about yesterday was training mode in King of the Hills. That was in MK11. They took it away for this game.
Rooms. God, we need rooms.
Lobbies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that from a tournament organizer perspective is an absolute nightmare trying to run things without any sort of lobbies.
Having to individually invite in, friends requests and accepting all the downtime, just the logistics and all of that sort of stuff, all the unnecessary things.
Yeah.
And it's been in before, but well, we'll see.
I'm hopeful. It's a shame that it took it this long to get here, but I'm just glad that we have it. And from a gameplay perspective, in my opinion, this is the most fun NRS game that's been released so far. From strictly a gameplay perspective, I think it's
Ever? This is your numero uno?
Numero uno, yep. I do have rose-tinted glasses for MK9, but like that game was kind of a nightmare to play. It was just like everything was busted though, so like that would be a close second just as
Before its time, right? You have to consider. It's like talking about money without, considering inflation, right? It's like relative, and I think that you do need to consider the time. Like we were in the Discord talking about yesterday, remember when the PS2 came out, it was like, man, these graphics are so realistic. Like, how could it get any better than this without it just being like just film or something like that?
right.
And obviously, things have gotten better, and I think that it is. And when the community's smaller and there's different like if people have been around for even 2 games now and you see like who was relevant then and who's still relevant now or who was active then versus now and what their preferences are and you compound that by another 3 or 4 games and I think you're entitled to say that you don't have to qualify your admiration for MK9.
No, and I mean those times were different too. Like when I used to go to tournaments in MK9, there was like if you got 40 people for a tournament, like that was a major, like that was a big deal. And like now I mean, I would say it probably peaked around Injustice 2. I would say I think the numbers dropped a little bit for MK11, and MK1's kind of fizzled out. But like MKX Injustice 2 was probably like I think at Evo there was almost 2,000 people for MKX, very similar for Injustice 2. Which is huge numbers compared to like the MK9 days, and like there weren't no big pot bonuses or anything like that. I think there was one PDP tournament where like the first place prize was like $1,000, and that was like a big deal. And now like you look at like the pro league and stuff, so it's like I don't know, things are a lot different. But for the time, I sound like old man yelling at cloud right now. But like for the time, that was the The game was good. It was fun. It was enjoyable, and everybody just knew what was overpowered and what was
Dude, a brand new
irritating.
Mortal Kombat. We thought it was gone forever. The last we had seen was, MK versus DC or whatever, right? And then we all knew that Midway went up. It was like a nice surprise to a lot of people, especially those that weren't like really paying attention. Like people like me, you just see it in the store one day, like, what the shit? Um,
Yeah, so
that's how I found out about it, is I just saw it like while I was at Target or something. I was like, what the hell?
a little history lesson for those that might not know. Mortal Kombat Deception and Mortal Kombat Armageddon were like the last kind of games that Midway kind of worked on their own, and they kind of knew they were going to go like belly up kind of a thing. So their last ditch effort was to work with WB Games and do like this MK versus DC crossover, which if you want to rank,
Try to widen the appeal, like bring two audiences together.
yeah, similar how they do guest characters and that kind of thing. But if you want to talk about like gameplay, like oh boy, that game was absolutely terrible. It was like
But the story was really bad too. I don't like
there
really
was
anything about MK DC.
there was nothing redeemable about that game. It was there was infinites. It was supposed to have Midway's first attempt at DLC, and there were actually renders of Harley Quinn and Quan Chi that were floating around the internet. And then balance patch as well, which would have been revolutionary because it's always been like the balance patch is just the next game that comes out. There's nothing, you buy the game and that's
Right.
it.
Yep.
So once that game flopped, the DLC was canceled. Midway went to auction to be sold, and the only company that bet on it was WB. So they basically just named their price and got it by default, and that's what saved.
And now
Mortal
it's their
Kombat.
cash cow. And then fast forward, and it's like one of only 4 or 5 IPs they even want to focus on in the gaming spectrum.
Yeah, there was that call with the CEO that was saying there was like Hogwarts, Mortal Kombat, and I think Batman were like
Game of Thrones, and then DC, but with special emphasis on Batman, which leads me to believe it's just a Batman game using DC characters, right? Like, or he'll be kind of like the anchor for it, or at least be like Batman Rogue Gallery type stuff. Like Injustice 2, like half that roster is like from the Batman universe, probably more than half that,
yeah.
that roster. Well, no, a little under half. But anyway, my point is that, but it's not their fault. They've got all the best characters, like the most fleshed out, and it's got that, I don't what's so appealing across all the generations about Batman. I love Batman.
I think he's cool. I really don't see why he's so above all the other superheroes. I'm not a
He's
huge
a regular dude.
yeah. Well, he's not even a regular dude. He's a billionaire. Like
I mean, but he doesn't have like balls of steel or whatever,
right.
Not literally, and he's not teleporting around. If he is, he's got a gadget that's doing it for him, And it's kind of like, he goes over, he's trying to make his neighborhood better, and he's got issues. I have issues. I identify with that, I
That's
wish
fair.
I could go take out some aggression on some, like the Batman. Was that Batman versus Superman, where Ben Affleck's Batman was going around branding people with the bat symbol? Like if you went,
Right, I
yeah,
remember that. Yeah, I found that to be kind of cringe, but I don't. I don't
yeah, that
know.
was that was a little,
Not their best work. I don't think.
I was a little out of pocket, even for like a darker Batman, maybe. Well, I mean, shit, all sorts of stuff has happened. I don't need any actually in the comments, but like in general, like in the context that we're talking about. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
haven't.
this got way off track.
Yeah, talking about Batman. Do you think we'll see it in Justice 3 sometime soon? Like they're talking about focusing on Batman, and they did mention that the Suicide Squad and Multiverses lost them a ton of money. Like they're in the red for both of those games, which have Batman characters.
Do you know what I would like to see?
Tell me.
A new MK versus DC.
As
But
cursed as that sounds, it'd be interesting to see how they could do it in this day and age.
I would not like it, because you want to know what? And we've talked about this before in a previous podcast, maybe before this series started, but like definitely in a previous conversation. If this roster says 30 characters, 15 MK and 15 DC, I already know that like more than half of that is going to be, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Raiden, Kung
Right.
Lao, all the what. there's not going to be like Quan Chi and Ermac and maybe not Shang Tsung or whatever. And on the DC side, you're definitely not getting, some of those more obscure characters or like Beast Boy or anything like that, right? It's going to be like basically the entire fucking Justice League and then whatever's left over filled in with. So that's the drawback to the idea, but I like the idea of it in concept.
Unless they like supported it for a very long time and like kept adding stuff in, which like at what point does it get overwhelming, right? But
Yeah. What I don't want to be playing Tekken 8 out here or anything, right? I'm not looking for 50 characters on a roster. There is a limit.
yeah, I mean,
Well, there doesn't have to be, but it definitely gets to the point where it's like this is like too many matchups. Like you
that's
think of like Smash and all sort of like games like that Dragon Ball game has like 100 and something characters in it.
that's stupid. I'm sorry, but I'm not learning 100 different matchups. That's crazy.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No, just go in. I don't know how those games work. I'm just talking on my ass if I even pretend to
I don't
talk
know
about
either.
those games. The Guilty Gear is probably as into the anime fighters as I've gotten, and even that I don't really understand. So it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with that MK versus DC too. I had a theory about, speaking of like supporting Mortal Kombat, I had a kind of a theory that I was thinking about because we were mentioning about how like T1000 is kind of like it's a nice addition, but it would have been better in MK11. Like if their continued focus is going to be on Mortal Kombat, do you think they'll just keep this game going and maybe like add like previous guest character packs kind of thing to it? Like making like a Mortal Kombat Ultimate kind of a thing with like here's the MKX
with like Rambo
character
and
pack.
Spawn and stuff.
Yeah, like it would be easy enough to add in, I'm sure, because I'm sure they have.
No,
like,
they would have to rework them to even like play the same sort of like the combo pathing and all of that stuff. And there's not too much. Liu Kang's the only one that looks exactly the same from game to game, don't you think?
Yeah,
not
he's
exactly the same. But if there ever was a legacy character, it's him.
Well,
I saw someone say that earlier this week, and I was like, nailed it.
Yeah, there's I think in MK Deception there was like a little side disc with a bunch of interviews and stuff, and Ed Boon was on record saying that like he wanted Liu Kang to be the character that your grandma could pick up the game and play with, like not a difficult character, doesn't change, kind of does the same things over and over again. And that's true. His forward 4.
Yeah, grandma should be putting characters like Ermac on like the back burner for now, right?
those crispy cancels gonna break her poor wrists.
Yeah, Grammy cancel.
Grammy cancels. If they put Blanche in the game, you could quite literally have granny cancels. Or
Dude,
Madame Bo.
we need a money match between Blanche and Madame Bo.
Oh man, the Blanche has no. I want some backstory to Blanche. Was she like some hardcore like Xena warrior princess thing? Like she's just standing there.
I love that there's like all this lore built around it. It's just like something that they just thought would be funny, like right, and it's turned into this whole lore. Like it's got all this canon and stuff now. People have like created for all this speculation. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, people love the character. They did a similar thing with the dude in the background in MK2. I think the fans named him Hornbuckle or something, and came up with all this.
Hornbuckle?
Yeah, I came up with like this lore about him and stuff. I don't really remember what it is. I haven't looked at it in a while. Just always that name will just forever burn in my head. Hornbuckle. It's just
Hornbuckle sounds like a Raiden player I ran into in Combat League or something.
Yeah, that damn Hornbuckle got me again. Damn safe freaking Kano knives, man. So since the update came out, I've been playing a little bit more of Quan Serena. Haven't really played too many matches, more just kind of like trying to come up with paths and way to like, because that meter blessing portal is huge. That thing is disgusting.
Yep.
I love it so much.
It's very good. It's very, very good. Like, and everything else is the same, except for like the inputs, right? You can't have an ambush on an up input. That would be, even though Ferris is, but you're already in the air.
Yeah.
So I think they did that. So it took a little bit of adjustment for me to start thinking about up cameo being like the reversal / wake up / whatever, but not so bad.
Yeah.
You adjusted that okay? You feel okay?
I didn't use it before, so
No.
I still, for how good it is and how badly Quan needs it, that's another thing I'm trying to work on, is remembering that it's there. It doesn't help that they changed the input a little bit, but it's all good. Quan, if he has the purple portal out and does 2 of his back forward ones, the 3 skulls, with the Serena portal, gains almost an entire bar of meter. It is it is disgusting. Just so much meter build that I don't even know what to do with it. And I've actually been starting to use for the first time the 2-bar low tentacle launcher, because there are combos where I can stay in the same place, and by the time that I'm done or I have to move out of the portal, I've already gained 1 bar back. So it's kind of like just giving me a 1-bar combo, but I didn't have that before. Quan never really had that. It's kind of nice.
And then if you don't need the meter, you're in the middle of like setting up like a bone dome combo or something, right? And if you don't need the meter or you don't want the damage, like you just throw down just the curse on top of them, right? And so then now they're in an EX bone dome with their meter draining while you're doing a down forward 4 or about to frame trap them with a projectile or whatever. I think that Quan Serena is a force in nature. I think that's a really good team.
Yeah. Outside of teleporters, which even in that case, like I can still have things out to counter that. Obviously armor portal and that kind of thing. But it's still a disgusting team. And decent damage, of course, being able to combo off of pretty much anything with standing 4 into Kia's blades. Super duper good. Have you been using anyone with Serena lately, or?
I tried her with a couple teams, but the only team I've really been using her with, and we'll talk more about Ghostface later, but I've been playing Ghostface Serena. If I'm not being zoned out, right? Like if they need to come to me or we're vying for space in the middle of the screen, if I'm not just like fighting my way in or whatever, I really like Serena, even though she's got the projectiles and stuff, right? To kind of like help with that. It's still just I don't know. But anyway, my favorite part about that new blessing is I love doing the run into an EX command grab and you drop that blessing on top of you. And the bar that you just spent on the EX command grab is built up the whole time and you get like 153 damage instead of 135 or something. But it's like this smorgasbord, like all 3 of you on screen hugging, you know, we're all just
one big happy family
group here. Dude, there's something, or you can just do that at the end of his combos. If you do the restand, if you're going into the run, you know, stab, and you can get it out there. And while they're falling down in recovery, she's like recovering, and she's wrapping up. Or, dude, if they just want to try to turtle me or something like that, I'm sitting there crouching, and I'll just bring out the blessing, and they want to hit her. People can't. People can't help themselves, right? And it's like, all right, I'm ready to react with 4-2 the second I see them try to tag her or something. It's like, I don't care if I'm losing the meter by stepping out of it, right? Like, so use her for baits and stuff too. Kind of the same way you do with the curse sometimes. The positioning's different, but yeah, definitely stocks improved for Serena, I gotta say, overall.
And how about your gal Frost there? I know you were super stoked about her her new kind of ambush attack, I guess, ish.
Well, it's her ambush and then the ice crash summon can interact now for the launch, or when you're calling out the ice ball, you can hit the cameo button again to bring out an ambush version of the ice crash.
Right.
So you can use it like a traditional ambush. You know, Shao Kahn can combo off as like overhead and things like that. But the cooldown, if you do that, that cooldown is so bad. Like if you need it to win a game, then more power to you, right? But I would not do that as a consistent part of like my B&Bs and stuff, right?
Okay. Interesting. So cash out at the end of a round kind of a thing.
Yeah, because the cooldown is so long before it even starts recharging. But even then, so it's a full cameo meter situation, just period, right? Because when the frost wall is out, it's not recharging at all. You don't start recharging until a short delay after the wall goes away. So you can't even get an ice crash after the ice wall's out if you didn't start that sequence with the 100% cameo, right? So this whole time, none of it's recharging, and then that's got I I like it for setups, right? You end a combo with a wall, or you kind of throw out a wall in neutral or something, and it's really, I hit people all the time with sectors 4-2-1, and they want to disrespect it or something, or they think the Frosty's Revenge is coming out, they're going to poke out of it, and I go into Ice Crash instead. Then I'll just take the plus frames on block, or they get hit. They can't mash out of it. They could armor through it, but they can't mash out of it. So now that situation's way scarier because if they're caught mashing on that string and I go into Ice Crash, Now I've got to launch, right? I'll use my cooldown for something like that, right? For like a situation for pressure and stuff, but
Sure.
not as like a hit confirm for whatever.
You think that these changes that they gave Frost make her a viable cameo now? Because a lot of
I think
people
she's
have
been
them.
viable. Dude, I think as soon as they gave her Ice Wall, it's like, all right, here we are. Like, I think this is exactly what she needed something like that, and it's different enough from every cameo, and she already had reasons to use her, but it wasn't quite there. Like we were just talking about with like Lee May and stuff earlier, right? She needed that one thing to kind of tie her kit together, and I think Ice Wall did it beautifully. I don't even think this was really needed. So I think it makes her better. Like more options are always better. They didn't take anything away. I already really liked her, and yeah, she's just getting better. They just keep buffing her like they keep buffing Sector.
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky. I was thinking about that with the our 30-day challenge and how you got like, Sector didn't really get any buffs this time around. I think they got rid of that one little bug with her flamethrower, which was good. But she also got some nice changes to Frost, and Garrus got a buff, but I can't find a way to use it with Tremor. Every time I try and summon Tremor, he's just so far behind. He's like off screen doing whatever the hell he's doing in his ambush, and I'm like, oh man, this sucks.
Oh, you mean off the EX command grab?
Yeah, just like the animation, like by the time that like they're in a spot where I can call Tremor out, if I call him out then he's just gonna whiff and then I lose my whole cameo bar. Or if I call him out like in the
You
startup.
can't do like a meatball, a metallic meatball.
I haven't tried that, so I'm gonna go in the lab.
I bet that would work.
Try a few things. Yeah, because I saw a couple cool setups using that meatball yesterday. So maybe I'll try that. I haven't messed around with that, but I haven't really I haven't played too much Garrus this week. I tried to meet my quota. I played a couple hours on Thursday. But I don't know. Sector Frost.
I've been cheating on mine too.
Have you? Have you even played?
This week is the most I've cheated on Sector since this thing started, but I mean that's okay. She's still like 95% of my play time probably.
I had fun playing around with her yesterday.
Yeah, I saw you a couple of your matches you posted on YouTube.
Yeah, she is. When you get that zoning going, man, that is so fun. She's a fun character. I should play her more. But focusing on Garrus, we got 2 more weeks of this, and then we can do a little recap. I'm sure it could be fun.
Yep, a little post-mortem of the process. Are you going to stick with it after it's done? Like, what did you take away? Things you liked, things you didn't?
Yeah, things that you learned, things that
was it really a challenge?
And then we'll have to decide if we want to do another one, a different character in cameo. Maybe not right
for
away.
30 days. Never. Like, we can do a 2-week challenge or something.
2-week, 14-day challenge.
I'm never doing 30 days again. I'm never doing 30 days again. Nope.
Too old and crusty for that. I am. I tell you.
It's been an emotional roller coaster, let me tell you.
it's a good test in that though, keeping those emotions in check and like understanding when to be like, okay, just calm down, look at it logically.
I know what I like. Well, like when I play other characters, I know the buttons that I'm going for. Right, those are the things that I miss. Right, like having air thrusters, for example.
One thing I will say is that, and I've bonded with Brown Boy on this, is playing Quan Chi, I'm just used to pretending my down one doesn't exist. So I've been doing the same thing with Garrus because his down one is so stubby. It's 7 frames, but it's stubby as hell. So I've just kind of been pretending it doesn't exist, and like that's like one skill that's kind of transferred over that I've kind of noticed is like getting out of situations using different tools. So that's a fun takeaway. I don't want to go too far into it because I want to ruin our recap, but that was just something that I kind of thought was interesting with my time with the character.
What do you think makes a down one bad? Like if you're writing a dictionary definition, like giving an example of like, so you could like empirically show this character has a good down one and this character has a bad down one. How would you do that?
I think there's 2 factors, speed and range. I think those are the things that kind of make a difference, especially because there's so many moves that have just a little bit of pushback. They're like unsafe and you need maybe like a 1-1 wouldn't quite, you can't like dash into a 1-1 or something like that. That you need to get that poke off right away. Like someone like Melina's privileged ass with her stupid down one. things like
Right. I
that.
was watching Zombat's Ghostface guide that he posted yesterday, and he was talking about Ghostface down one being bad, and I saw White's Gemini talking about it being kind of booty too, and I was like, I mean, it's not like Gear's bad or whatever. It's like I don't think it is. But Zombat was talking about it in his video, and he's like, if you can block somebody's down one and if you can't punish a block down one with your own down one, then you have a bad down one. And I was like, that is such a succinct way to put it. Like just such a, without getting into like anything deeper. Like if it whiffs, if you block somebody's down one and your down one back will whiff, then you have a bad down one.
Interesting.
You agree with that?
Not necessarily as a blanket statement. I mean, I would say that that's probably one part of it, but I think down ones are used for a lot of things, not just counter poking. So I don't think that that's like the be all end all, but I'll agree it's an important aspect of it. But
and I'm not saying that's his only
stipulation,
his only defining like whatever. It's just something that stood out to me as he was kind of like talking about it, right? And I was like, I think that's actually a good example.
Yeah, I would agree that that's definitely an important part of the down one's function. I don't think that just that necessarily being that would
I think
make
it's a good
bad.
taste of its range. Maybe it's not that you have a bad down one, your down one has bad range, right?
Yeah.
But Gearus, but you just said he has a bad down one. So
he does have a bad
what are we talking
down
about?
He has the speed, but he doesn't have the range. I think those two in particular, like
everybody has the same speed except for Quan.
Poor fucking Quan. 9 frames. 9 frames. I usually just wait for a place where they would like expect me to down one and then just do down 4. It's like 11 frames, but it has pushback, has a disjointed hurt box, and
better hit advantage, I'm sure.
Better hit advantage, and I can do like
down 4 is almost always better.
Down 4 into like armor portal, and then I don't really even have to worry about my pokes at that point. It doesn't really matter how fast they are when you're armored.
Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's what they were thinking. Like if I can interrupt things, yeah, I'll probably take some damage because I'm armoring it. But I mean, it by definition kind of makes me faster because I can kind of ignore frame data, which I think is the idea.
I think that's why they want you low health too, right? Because you still take damage even though you have armor. So it's kind of like this game. You have to kill them before they kill you, and you're still taking, even though you are getting combos, you're taking these stray hits in order to open them up. And with your low health pool, that can be kind of risky, and you need to actually avoid that. Right? There's times where you can't even find yourself in that situation. You'll die.
It's true. It's very true. Armor. I've killed myself numerous times. I'm trying to put up my armor, and then I'm just go to blast through something. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't have enough health. It's not invincibility. It's just armor.
Yeah, like the Mavado cameo.
Oh, people forget about that shit all the time. He's been out for how long? I still see people kill themselves all the time. It's quite funny.
It's funny.
Last order of business here is Ghostface. I did not expect to enjoy playing this character, but I have been having a blast with him.
I'm right there with you. 10 out of 10 fun factor. 10 out of 10 like I don't like guest characters. I do like kind of Ghostface. So like we talked a little bit last week about Scream, the original Scream, right?
Yep.
And its place in cinema and horror and all of that sort of stuff. And after they talked about all the bullshit and all the assassin and the enforcer and all that stuff, and I saw clips online, all these cancels, like there's just no way, right? But you take that character into practice mode and you hit forward 2-1 one time and tell me you're not in love, right? This is like what a gratifying button. And the way all of his stuff flows together, it is very, very fun. Very, very surprising for me. But very fun.
Yeah, I the same way. I have zero connection to the Scream series. I do not care about Ghostface at all. But as a character in this game, he's super fun. His combo pathing is like super versatile. Like you could use like any cameo. Yeah, probably the most versatile combo pathing I've seen of almost any character. Is just super fun. I've been using it with Shujinko. Posted. I just had to mention this. I didn't want to. just a small little snippet here. So I posted a Shujinko combo video earlier in the week. Not sure if you saw that or not. Just a short little thing against the DLC characters. 5 minutes long. Some Andy posts, skip to the 2:26 minute if you want to get through all the BS, which is just me talking about how the combo pathing routes. And I've seen that comment and I'm like, my brother in Christ, it's a 5-minute video. Like, calm down, man.
Right.
Anyway, it was kind of funny, but yeah, I haven't really messed around with like the assassin or the enforcer kind of variation things yet. I'm still kind of working on the core base. of Ghostface, but I'm excited to kind of move into
Remember
those.
last week when I kept blowing you up with my rockets? I was like, oh, my bad, like with the brutalities, because all you need
Oh
to do is
yeah,
hold the button, and that's just what I'm doing anyway.
yep.
The only time I've ever gone into Enforcer is because I'm just holding the throw, because I use 1+3, right?
Oh,
And if I don't
right.
release that, then it just spends the bar and goes into it. It's like, okay, well, now I'm going to fuck with my Rekka or whatever. And it feels like okay, but Assassin, I think, is the better one. I think most people think just with the having the projectile and the cancels. Um,
Yeah,
at
is
least right now. For week 1, I think she edges out Enforcer for sure.
yeah, I would agree. We'll see what how things evolve, but that's what I've seen too with like the butterfly knives and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. And you can be like reckless, right? You'll take the damage and you're forced back onto the screen, but you can block and you're holding like whatever comes next. But man, it really enables you to do some silly stuff. He does have some trouble getting in, but like once he's in and the vortices,
Vortices,
I'm
is that
sure
the
everyone's
proper?
been. I'm pretty sure that's the plural of vortex, vortices.
Vortices. All right, you're better with the English language than I am, so I'll believe you. He has like
I'm
some
sure
weird like
someone will call me out if I'm wrong.
oh, you know they will. You know they will. He has some good like full screen options too. Like even though like it's teleports or like his little phone call thing. So I mean he's not helpless against zoning, but you just have to be careful with those moves because they can whiff pretty bad and get him in some trouble.
I swear to God, I've gotten like 3 Kia's blades in one combo, right? Because they can go so long, and you can start with one, and then when you restand, you do it again, which means that you just go back into forward 2-1 into your EX down back 3. You can just like rinse and repeat as long as you have bar, and then I've got another Serena. Like, I mean, the combos don't do damage. It's just so fun. It's smooth like butter. There's so much TLC in this character, right? It's like actual design, the feedback, the visual and audio feedback that you get when you're pressing buttons versus like what's happening on the screen. I think they really knocked it out of the park. I'm super super happy with this character.
And the little like horror movie sounds as he's doing certain moves, like when he's
That
running at
makes
you.
Dude, it makes me laugh. Like I'm not even mad. Like when I like armor and I get fucked up for it or whatever because I can't get up off the ground. Dude, I still just laugh. There's something about it that's so funny to me. And like when I run and command grab people, and so you have the little strings when you start running, and then the sound effects from the grab
Yep.
and stuff. Man, it's just so amusing.
This character has been asked for so long. I bet they've been working on Ghostface for a very long time. I think that they really wanted to nail the character for how many people requested it and for how iconic he is in the horror genre. I think they put a lot of time and effort into him.
I think a lot of developers at NRS are probably from like my generation, my age, maybe even like a little bit older, and there's like a
Right.
gradient in there, whatever, which is like, again, what I was talking about last week when that movie came out and kind of like what it represented and what it did to kind of like pop culture and got horror, its commentary on horror and its like meta qualities and all that sort of stuff. So you can tell all the passion that went into this, right? Like every nook and cranny, the way that he looks, just the guy with the knife and just the black robe, right? But what Scream did was take that silly costume and they turned it into a horror icon, right? And what NRS did is it's still like really basic, but he looks sick, man. You use that relic mask with that robe that looks like the priest robe because it has all the embroidery in it and
Right.
stuff. I feel like a badass walking around with that, right? Not just some chucklehead with a knife, wearing a Halloween costume. He feels like he belongs in MK, like he's playing Mortal Kombat. He belongs in this game, like unlike we feel about some other characters. Not calling any of them out specifically, but like he's way more integrated and belongs in this game way more than like a Peacemaker or Homelander or um, even Omni. Even though I think Omni Man's the second for like the comic sort of aspect. I think Omni Man's the best out of the three. What do you think
Inter-
about that?
Interesting. Omni-Man, that's not where I thought you would have went with that.
Not best
Interesting.
character, right? Just like actually belongs in this game, plays the game at like kind of like I don't know,
I
like
see.
when
I
you
see.
see matchups, it's not like you almost forget their guest characters sometimes, right? Like they're playing the game like in their own way,
Yeah, like I like Peacemaker's design, but man, he just doesn't feel to me like he fits in the game. Like the whole like, I don't know, just how the game. I haven't seen the Peacemaker shows though, so like maybe I'm out to lunch on that. But he just doesn't feel like he fits.
I feel like Peacemaker is good for like that Johnny Cage flavor of comic relief. Like his intro,
Right.
you know, after you like talk shit or whatever, and then you like push away or whatever, that one where it's like, oh, what the hell? Dude, that makes me laugh. And then his back forward 3 brutality, the one where you just like explode and he gets knocked on his ass and he looks like he's like scared, like looking around like, oh shit. Like that was maybe a little bit stuff
too
like
much.
that like makes me laugh. And I feel like that's again like that Johnny Cage sort of like a humor, almost that kind of like comic relief that sometimes needed in this game. This game kind of takes itself a little seriously, so it's a good offset.
I think that like Ghostface is like the perfect like unserious villain for it too. Like just like his kind of goofy voice and the way that he moves around, getting knocked on his ass in the intros, and like it's just funny. And
Ghostface has that brute. Have you done any brutals with Ghostface? Because he's got that one pose where he holds up his little voice modulator thing and then speaks the character's voice. So like, you know, you brutal to Ashra, and you know what does she say about being like damned from the beginning or something? But it's in her voice through
oh,
like his
okay, I
little
haven't done
speaker
that one
thing.
yet.
Yeah, so he does that to whoever the opponent is, and you have to do the EX Kano Ball one. That one
Oh, it's
is
that one.
cool.
Okay. I haven't done the ones in the stances yet. I've only done the ones in the base Ghostface kit, so I haven't.
The
experimented
Cannonball
with those
ones, I haven't seen all of them yet because I just bought the 2 in the seasonal thing, so I haven't even seen those ones yet. But the Cannonball one's my favorite right now, and it's just like more of those horror strings, right? It's like so
Right.
dramatic, and so they did a really good job of 16-bit made a point to uh talk about like how violent the character is, right? Especially with like the command grab, but you
Very
can see
much
it like
so.
in everything. Like, of course, it's Mortal Kombat, and of course, it's going to be violent and stuff, but it really has that extra little kind of like to it. You know, there's
Ugh.
some passion in those knife throws. It's not like Cutthroat Kano, right, where he's being like super agile and tossing them around and stuff like that. Like, this is someone that's like lunging like with purpose, you know, and these overkill brutalities with all the stabbing.
When you bring
Grody.
out both of them and they're both just like stabbing away like multiple times, that's and
Have you
then
seen the mid round taunt thing where one Ghostface walks off, and as the other one's walking in, he stabs the other one in the stomach?
I have seen that. Yes. Like I said, unserious villain, man. It's very funny, and I will say that whenever Shujinko comes on screen and he's got that mask on, there's a smile on my face. He's
That's
just
pretty
so
funny.
goofy.
I love it. You can see that just the black band that holds it on and stuff too.
Yeah.
And, you know, well, he's there crawling on the ground. That is so funny. Going into the run, and then the forward, like the dive, right? And so now you're in the prone stance or whatever. Just all the sound effects and like how it just looks so silly, but
It
not
does.
like in a way that's detrimental. Like it's charming, right? I'm enamored. I'm totally sold on the character.
Yeah, the crawl looks goofier than when Rambo did it for sure. Rambo was a little bit more stealthy, and he is just like a freaking Bugs Bunny kind of thing. Just
Dude, it's so funny. It's funny to see how people answer it too. I played a bunch of games. I was playing against Fro, who's playing Ermac, right? He just started doing lift every time he saw it. EX lift, right? Full
Right.
combo. Other people just go for whatever string, and you know, I'm on the ground, so I'm crushing all of that, even like some mids. And I can do stuff down there, right? You've got the grab and you've got the low swipe, and
Yeah, I've been trying to like neutral jump and then like back 3 punish. Like try and wait for people to do the grab and then jump up and grab whiffs and punish with back 3.
you're really good at reacting to the like the backstage pass thing, right? You don't whether he's going to attack or not, you're just throwing buttons. So whether he cancels it on your side, he's getting hit, or like you're stuffing the hit if he didn't cancel it, right?
Yeah, thanks. I kind of found that that's a pretty good way to kind of cover most of your options. I think there's 1 or 2 that will still beat me, but
You kind of have to do, I feel like, not just a fast string to catch it, but you don't want to get baited, because that's what I started to try to do to you, is doing the one that cancels on my side. And like if you overcommitted, then I get the actual just a raw down back 3, right? While you're
yep.
wailing off in the wrong direction, like whiffing something. But I don't know, that only happened like one time, right? But that's fun. Like it's fun kind of like fleshing out the matchup and seeing what your options are. And once people get scared of something and they start over respecting. And I used a lot of the phone call, just raw phone call into assassin, like into like backdash if I thought they were like charging towards me.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then, and then just start throwing knives or doing whatever. But, I played like 50 games or something. So
50
not a
games?
ton. Yeah. I won at least 10 of those. So,
Oh, hey. Top
um,
tier. I was 100% ready to come up on this podcast today and commend NetherRealm for coming out with a DLC character who's well balanced and no issues. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. As
Nope.
of just of this morning, this isn't when they discovered it. It was probably earlier this week. It's just the first time that I saw it. He does indeed have an infinite, which is too bad. It's something to do with Kira's knife cancels, how it like disables your block button or something after certain cameos. So that
I
sucks.
think it might be something you can do it with the sub cameo. Is that like kind of like what they had to fix with Sindel? I wonder if it's similar
It's
to
probably
what's happening there.
probably.
I just saw Mr. Aquaman talking about like if you do this shit in the Coliseum, then that counts as a loss, right? That is an exploit.
Yeah,
So
which it should be. I agree with that. Hopefully it's an easy fix, because other than that, the character's fantastic, and I think the best DLC character they put out to date.
he's has a lot of dirt, right? That restand, like depending on the cameo and the reward he can get off of overhead low or throw, and how good they are with the cancels in assassin and stuff like that can be like really overwhelming. But he's not without weaknesses, and he does have to like take risks and stuff. And whether you think how balanced that is or not, I guess is up to the individual or whatever. But right now it's like I was honestly over after like watching him on stream and Ghostface mirror match after mirror match, like on Rips and just every streamer. I was like, oh, finally, Foxy. His stream title says that he's, playing Sector, and I go there and even he's playing Ghostface, and the guy he's in ranked
Right.
against is playing Ghostface. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, so like I know it's only like day 2 or whatever, but then I actually played it. I was like, okay, I get it, right?
It's
like,
fun, yeah.
because I hadn't tried me. I was too busy playing with all the other stuff the first couple of days. So, I didn't. I played Ghostface for the first time like on Friday, like Friday evening.
Oh, damn! All right. I was on him pretty much day 1, but nothing serious on day 1 for me. I was more focused on Quan Serena, but
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, Borther. Well, that's it for another week. We went over everything. Ghostface, balance, comments, all that kind of stuff. Episode 30. 30 episodes in now, so 20 more episodes and we'll be at 50. 22 more episodes.
I might like Ghostface more than Ermac.
No way.
Like some legit MK DLC characters. No, maybe not, but he holds his own.
He holds his own. That's
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.